What's happening, y'all? AJ and Zack here. And for those of you who don't know, we are probably two of probably some of the bigger kettlebell nerds on the internet. And AJ, if you don't know him already on Instagram, he goes by Docs Fitness, and he's been like one of the coolest people to follow on that platform. And he was actually nice enough to actually reach out the last time he was in my neck of the woods in Nashville. And we actually shared a little workout together. And we were, I guess, friends ever since. And I guess that's probably been 2 or maybe 2.5 years ago at this point.
Yeah. I think just over 2 years ago. I think. Yeah. It was funny too, because my one of the other trainers at the gym that I previously worked at, she was going for her Strong First Level 1 cert, and you were the team leader there. And I just this was at the very beginning, the inception of Docs Fitness and the Instagram and all. But I had a buddy of mine who was getting married in Nashville, and realizing and following you and knowing how educated you are in the world of kettlebells and how much of a kettlebell nerd that you are. I reached out to my friend who, she was saying like, yeah, definitely, if you're going to be in Nashville, shoot him a message on Instagram and, pick his brain. So, and yeah, I guess that was like just over 2 years ago, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I remember doing get-ups out there on the turf out of Gym 5.
Yep. And dude, you introduced to me, honestly, the bottoms up work, man. Honestly, that was definitely an eye-opening move in a sense, where I think you said one, if you want the kettlebell to get heavier, just flip it upside down.
I should write that down somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Obviously there's so many fun ways to use a kettlebell, and the bottoms up techniques is just one of those big pillars of like how you can utilize the unique design of the kettlebell to really get a unique training effect. So I'm glad that stuck with you.
100%. Yeah.
Well, right on, man. Well, let's take the listeners back. You have quite a robust origin story as it relates to athletics and training. So I'm sure we could spend all night talking about that part of your story. But baseball is your sport. So take it from there.
Yeah, no. So I played and was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to go to St. Joe's University, a small school up in Philly. Played there for 3 years, and then I was very grateful for the opportunity to go and get drafted by the Atlanta Braves back in 2011. So I was drafted by the Braves. Spent 4 years playing there. Some of the best memories. A lot of people always ask, like, "Oh, what's your best memory of playing?" Within the minor league system. And it always goes back to your teammates. At the end of the day, that's what it always is. But we definitely, and it's funny too, when you're playing minor league ball, you're always complaining about the 12-hour bus trips, getting food poisoning on your way down to Savannah, Georgia, before you get attacked by sand gnats. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Savannah, but they got they have a beautiful facility there, but anywho, but those little things that you're always finding yourself complaining about, those are the things that you look back on and miss the most. But yeah, so anyway, I was within the minor league system of the Atlanta Braves for 4 years, and after that, I actually ended up being able to play professionally and semi-pro overseas for 5 years as well. So, but honestly, I think like people like hear that and they're like, "Oh, pro athlete." I just was tall, I could throw hard, and I had a decent slider, and I was a good teammate.
That's amazing, man. So you were a pitcher.
Yes. Yeah. So pitcher, that's what happens when you can't hit. So you just get on the bump and you can throw a little bit hard. So
man, I'm going to ask a kind of kind of a dumb, maybe obvious question. See, I played a few years of Little League.
Okay.
I got hit by the ball more than I hit the ball itself to kind of
Your
paint the
on base
picture.
percentage was through the roof then. That's great.
I mean, I could run a second as hard as I could, and sometimes that worked out.
Yeah.
But like pitching seems like the hardest position because like you're essentially like working somewhere close to like 100% effort like every single play. Like it all hinges on the pitcher. And I guess like, you know, when you're batting, you swing and you miss or you hit a home run. I imagine it's almost like the same level of efforts. And I would assume like you could kind of like swing hard all day. Granted, I'm talking out of school here.
No, I get it.
But a pitcher, you're putting your body through so much. That's obviously why, you know, we have relief pitchers and all that kind of thing. So how did you manage that workload through practice and through games?
First off, like just to kind of like backtrack just a hair, like I know I'm like a pitcher and I'm very biased being a pitcher, you know, my whole life. And but the hardest thing in sports is to hit a round object with a round object. So being a hitter, essentially, you know, if you're a hitter, you bat 10 times, you only get 3 hits out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Fame hitter. So as a pitcher, you're essentially already having the advantage or the upper hand, or at least that you like to tell yourself that. But a lot of it also goes into like the mental part of the game. And that's why baseball, I feel like, is a bit of a separator when it comes from sport to sport. It could be it's more comparable to like golf or tennis, really. But anywho, but from a physical standpoint, you know, you're playing 150 plus games a year, you know, so as a position player, you're playing, you know, the better part of 125, you know, plus games. Whereas a pitcher, you know, it depends on who you are. Like if you're a starter, you're pitching every 5 days. If you're a reliever, you have to be ready to go, you know, 3 to 4 days out of those 7 days throughout the week. But either way, whether you're a position player, whether you're a relief pitcher or a starter, you need to maintain a level of fitness that is going to have you last and be durable throughout the entire season. And a lot of times I would see it time and time again where a lot of guys, they would prepare themselves throughout the off season. And then once the, you know, first half of the season went down, you know, you just got done the first half of the season, your body is broken down. And it's not only your body, but your mind kind of goes a little bit, you know, because it's a roller coaster ride. Baseball is a completely mental sport. And it's, so that's why it's so important to always best to set yourself up for the best opportunity possible, stepping on the mound, from what you do off the field and all out of the gym and those habits that you would build. Now, I mean, I was definitely somebody that I would take pride in getting to the field early. You know, my grandpa, you know, he, one of his, you know, and we'll talk about him in a bit, but one of his mindsets was first one on, last one to leave kind of thing. So that was something that really instilled in me. So I was always trying to get to the field early, stretch, stay on the outfield afterwards, stretch, get some sprints in, do an extra core work. We had a crew of me, because you play with a lot of Latin players. It was the abdominales crew, and which abdominales is just, you know, abdomens and core. But we had a crew of us that we every day, you know, we would spend an extra 35 minutes just focusing up on core work, doing all the power holds, plank work, but yeah. So I was very lucky to have been given the opportunity to play at the level that I did, because it essentially set me up into what I'm doing today. It really gave me, it gave me a bit of love for fitness in a way, you know, and I never, again, I mean, I'm a washed up baseball player / beach bum. Okay. That's lo and behold me. But so when I was gifted with the opportunity to go and play professional baseball, I tried to do my best to take every bit of advantage of it. So, and especially when it came to picking people's brains like the strength and conditioning coaches, which was definitely something that I was always gravitating towards. So shout out to those guys for always, being very open to discussing, their tactics with me.
Yeah. So there oftentimes seems to be, different, people have different kinds of experiences being athletes. Some people are kind of reluctant athletes like me, who maybe just kind of put in the bare minimum. Some people are obviously like super obsessed with the game, and they, put their entire ego and identity around being an athlete. But on the flip side of the sport is obviously the training, and the training gives us a whole nother world to explore and develop ourselves through. So for me, I kind of got a taste of training through, mostly through wrestling. They didn't make the little leaguers hit the weight room, at least in my hometown. So from wrestling, that was my first kind of foray into the gym. And even already from back then, I kind of liked the idea of spending 2 hours lifting weights more than rolling around on the mats. These days with jujitsu, it's gotten a little bit closer to half and half. But is that something that you found with you, that you found you could really sink your teeth into the training side, and that over time you found that was something that you knew that regardless of how the baseball career went, you knew that training was something that you were going to stick to and make a part of your lifestyle or career?
To be honest, it was definitely, I just always gravitate towards things that I enjoy, and going to the gym and just doing my best to be prepared for the season was always something that I enjoyed. When the fitness realm, I did not expect myself to go full tilt. Am I surprised? If you would have told me 10 years ago, like, oh, you're going to be a trainer, you're going to be a kettlebell coach, now I wouldn't be shocked at that, because I'd been introduced to kettlebells early on. And especially going back to my point, I always enjoyed being in the gym. I always enjoyed surrounding myself with like-minded people and pushing. And there's always like that competition side as well. But yeah, I mean, baseball basically was just a vehicle that definitely worked as a segue into what I'm doing today. So I'd be lying if I said that baseball wasn't part of the reason as to why I'm like doing what I'm doing today. But yeah, man, I mean, they do definitely go hand in hand, because of the fact that you need to be prepared. So, so yeah, it's been a crazy couple years for sure, though.
Yeah. So fast forwarding ahead just a little bit, and then maybe we'll fill in some gaps. Yeah, I'm always interested to kind of hear and understand like people's actual world, and especially when you're someone who actually like trains people in real life. People that just kind of like set up in front of a camera and just do kettlebell workouts or anything in the fitness world, and then they just put it on the Instagram, and there's nothing of substance behind it. To me, feels very, very boring. But when you're working with people, when you actually work at a gym or run your own gym or run your own classes, that whole thing, I always find that far more interesting, and I think that shows up in your content. So one of the things that I noticed from the get-go, even kind of before I knew like what you were doing behind the scenes, so to speak, is I could tell that you very much had a coach's approach in how you like delivered your content. In your own way, you're very educational in a very practical way, which is the hallmark of a good coach and someone who works with the general population. So where is, how is Doc's Fitness? What is that all about?
So at first, let me just say, I was first introduced to kettlebells back when I was like, I want to say I was 16, by a mentor of mine who This guy Tommy Sher, was legend in kettlebells in the area. And then I honestly, it was off and on for the next 10 years until I really like sunk my teeth in them a couple years ago. But so the origin story of Doc's Fitness. Pandemic happened. Essentially, everything obviously shut down, and all the gyms were obviously closed. And my buddy had his backyard in our hometown, and nice little backyard. And I bought one kettlebell. I bought the Beast. I bought the 48K, and I just started doing workouts with that on my own. And then a couple weeks had gone by, and got some more kettlebells, and more friends and family started showing up to my buddy's backyard. Fast forward a couple months. At this point, it's all friends and family. Fast forward a couple months, we go to a vacant lot on a lagoon, overlooking the water, and for an outdoor gym. Built a pull-up bar, got more kettlebells, and then wintertime came, and my dad came up to me, and he basically was saying, what's your plan for the winter? And I was like, I guess we're just going to stay outside. Well, he said, what about Doc's? And Doc's is a boathouse that was named after my grandfather. And it's also happens to be located right on the bay. And when I say boathouse, I'm talking the bottom of this essentially is a crew boathouse, crew shells, hundreds of boats underneath. Where Doc's Fitness is located is in a loft above the boathouse, which it's probably one of the most unique underground gyms that I at least have ever been able to take ownership of. But and basically, yeah, so the boathouse itself was named after my grandfather, and my grandfather, he went by as Doc, and the boathouse was named after him, but he was one of the last at-home visiting doctors in the area. He brought crew into the area, and his legacy was essentially, you could sum it up into this quote in a sense: the most valuable currency there is the effect you have on others. So I felt like it was a no-brainer to name Doc's Fitness after him, because for me, if I'm able to reach an eighth and make an impact on an eighth the amount of people that my grandfather has, then I would consider my life a success. Because in two different ways, and it's kind of funny because people on Instagram think I'm a doctor. I am not a doctor.
That's what I always assumed.
Yeah, my grandfather was a doctor, but yeah, so, and over the last 2.5 years, it's just been very fortunate to have a huge community built around. And to your point of having the person that is just kind of filming their workouts, whether it's at home or in a gym, versus a coach, the big outlier is the community aspect. Okay, you can only get so much of a community through a social media platform, right? It's not until you have fresh eyes on people and you are thoroughly feeling as if that you're making a full-on impact on their life. And that is one of the biggest things that I have been fortunate and I'm incredibly grateful for to be in the position that I'm in. And that's definitely, I would say, one of the biggest things that you find from a coaching aspect. So the community,
Sure.
The community is the separator. So
yeah, community is everything. And if there's one thing that, some of the most successful fitness brands in, recent history have taught us, it's the importance of community. You look at any successful gym, everybody's friends, everybody's friendly with the coach. There's that relationship there. And the health and wellness professional providing a space for community is incredibly important. And maybe drawing a parallel with your father being a doctor, he dedicated his life and his career to making the community a healthier place. And that's exactly what you're doing in your own way.
Yeah, it's definitely been fun, because if anybody follows Doc's Fitness, it's I try to keep it as authentic. I try to keep it as fun and energized as humanly possible. And I know people don't really get much of a taste of it because I do a lot of this and the mimes and like how not to do the moves and which was just kind of funny how that all came to be because it was just I just was messing around one day. This is I don't know a couple years ago now or a year and a half ago or no so now but just messing around one day and I happened to get a lot of good feedback from people and if you talk about community and not to go like too deep into like how I'm like doing the how not tos, but there is a little bit of method to the madness in a sense because as a coach, you want to avoid those bad moves. You want people to be doing these moves correctly, right? So I figured, okay, well, why don't I just sacrifice myself a little bit and try to beat people to the punch into like, okay, these are as a coach, these are a lot of the fundamentally wrong ways to do a lot of these movements. So if I'm able to give quick, concise, effective cues of how not to's or dox cues, and then quickly showcase, okay, the correct way to use them. Not only don't need to turn your volume up on the phone. You don't need to really listen to like what I'm saying or anything like that. You don't get distracted with different blurbs on the Instagram, but also it transcends language. Okay, it transcends language, and it's amazing the amount of feedback that I've gotten from people who English is not their first or second or third language, that they reach out to me in their own language saying how much, and I had to go Google Translate it, and how much they appreciate me doing the how not to's with no speaking. And to take that in a little bit further, which really like warms my heart a bit, there was a lady, there's actually been a couple people at this point, but there was a lady who runs a gym in Brazil, and it's for deaf people, deaf children, deaf families, it's for a deaf community. And she sent me this long message about how she uses my account every day to showcase how to do movements correctly. And it's a kettlebell gym down in Brazil. And I'm not gonna lie, it gives me the chills just thinking about it right now. So it's a beautiful thing that I've been able to like, be on this platform to essentially give as much as I possibly can to as many people as I can. And it's been fun.
That's amazing, man. That is absolutely amazing.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. And it's just such a good like it's such a good like educational tool, like branding move. It's very, it's very doing your X, doing the guillotine movement.
Yeah.
And it captures people's attention for sure. You're scrolling down and you see one of your videos, you're like, this guy, of course, someone like me.
That's another version of it too.
People like want to jump. Yes, someone who's incredibly judgmental, like myself, about any fitness stuff that's going on the internet. I'm like, oh, my I'm the kettlebell police. My sirens are going off. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So it's great at capturing attention. And there's also something to be said about showing the wrong way first and the correct way last. Because you don't want to do it the opposite way. No. You don't want to show someone the right way and then have the last taste in their mouth being the wrong way. So doing it in that order is very, very important from a learning standpoint, from a stickiness standpoint, mentally.
100%. 100%. I mean, that's something that we both learned through Strong First, essentially, is learn through feel. And it's, what is it? You go with the drill, or no, you test the skill, then you drill, then you test the skill again. And you want to end on that good note of that correction, which I find to be, like you said, sticky.
Yeah, for sure. Well, dude, you've really blown up on Instagram to kind of state the elephant in the room. So, I think your example or your story there with being able to essentially, without you even knowing, be a resource for, let's say, underserved communities
Mm.
clear across the world, is really one of the most like fulfilling
Yeah.
things that we can do when we're making a positive impact on people that we've never seen before, we'll probably never meet in our entire lives, but you're doing something that you intrinsically just love to do, work
Yeah.
out, coach, put it out on the internet, and people get value. And yeah, that makes me think that maybe I could be a little bit more strategic with how I put
Mm.
stuff out. But I got a little taste of that because I remember when I first started putting captions on videos, people who were deaf of heart or hard of hearing were like, "This is amazing,"
Mm.
because we see your jaws flapping all the time, but
Yeah.
now we
Yeah.
actually know what you're
Yeah.
saying. So
Yeah.
again, just for all of the ills that social media can cause in the world, it's a powerful tool that can be utilized to really fundamentally help a lot of people.
100%. That's the one thing that I think that I've learned in the last couple of years is using it as a tool. And, I think that's, like you said, it's something that you're able to essentially make an impact on people that you probably will never meet, but that's all right. Because at the end of the day, it's about just having that positive impact on people's lives. So,
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, speaking of making a positive impact,
Yeah.
we have got,
Oh, baby.
it's funny. You can put out all the greatest stuff you want to out on the internet, and there's some people who will absolutely dissect and write down and take notes on every little thing that you ever put out. And it's so funny. I've had people print out my emails, like my email newsletter, and turn it into a binder, put it into a 3-ring binder.
Awesome.
And I think to myself, I'm like, why don't you send me a copy of that binder, and I should sell that thing. That's obviously where my capitalistic mindset goes.
That's awesome.
But speaking of capitalistic mindset, which really I joke, but it's all in the spirit of like actually helping people. And people are only helped when they take action. It's nobody got healthier just scrolling and watching your videos.
No, it's true. This is
They
true.
got better actually doing what you're doing that they learned from your videos, right? So
100%.
that in and of itself helps a lot of people, but there's also something to be said about putting together an actual program or a product, an ebook, or in our case, a challenge that you put a bunch of information, knowledge, you package it in a way that people can actually work through sequentially to deliver a result for people. So all that is a big preamble to say, when I would scroll your Instagram and see all these cool workouts you're posting, I would go to your bio and try to find a link to something that I could invest in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was surprised that there was nothing to be found.
I know, dude. And that, talk about taking action. I mean, like when I started building this Instagram and, you getting a couple more followers, like along the ways and all, and I would get more and more people messaging me like, hey, like, do you have a program? What do you got? I want to, the amount of people who basically said like, hey, I want to support you. You're giving me all this free content for, you're basically just, build up a program for myself, like when I'm training at home. But what if, like, do you have an actual program that I could buy or actually, like, be able to like sequentially do? And I never had anything. And honestly, enter Zack Henderson. Seriously, dude, if it wasn't for you, then honestly, like I wouldn't have gotten started with this whole 10 by 10 complex challenge, like this challenge in itself. I'm grateful for you kind of reaching out to me and basically giving me, like, you opened up my eyes in the sense of like, hey, listen, what the hell are you doing, dude? Like, you got all these followers, you got a lot of people that you're trying to make an impact on, but let's tag team something, let's put something together. And yeah, dude, I mean, you quarterback this thing, you know, you got it into my brain, you know, and I think the two of us definitely have a good partnership in a sense, because I love building content. I love like taking the videos. I love figuring out, you know, different complexes or different workouts and filming them and creating that energy, and, you know, as much as I could possibly, you know, like, so. And then you obviously have had success in the past of creating ebooks and different programs. So you have that knowledge, and it's like almost as if like you're a couple years ahead of me in that sense. And I'm just trying to, you know, play catch up to you, Zach. Come on, man. But enter the 10 by 10 complex challenge essentially. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I've mentioned this many times before, but it's almost a pet peeve of mine to find a great coach or a content creator and then not have a way to invest deeper into their knowledge, into their content, you know? If I find someone, you know, cool on Instagram and they don't have a YouTube channel with longer form content, I'm kind of disappointed, because I don't even really consume that much on Instagram. I'm more of a long form guy. So like I would rather sit down and watch 15 minutes of like one video as opposed to spending 15 minutes scrolling down your Instagram. Now, to be fair, that's just me.
yeah,
That's just my style. But the same kind of idea goes for having some sort of product, having something to like go deeper, to get more value from a knowledgeable coach. So I see this a lot in the kettlebell and functional fitness weightlifting community, where it's like a great coach will put out so much great stuff, and it's worth doing. I don't want to say that it's not. It's worth doing as much as you can, putting out stuff for free. But fundamentally, you're doing people a disservice if you don't have something to like actually back that up into like a packaged result.
yeah,
So
100%.
all that to say, when I see your stuff and I go and I try to click on a website or an email newsletter or a program or an ebook and I don't see anything, you know, I'm not shy. So I just sent you a message and I was like, why not?
Yeah. And it's to your point too. You're like, that's one thing that I've come to grips with rather, was I'm giving out all this quick, you know, workouts. How many people are actually going to be doing this stuff? There, like you said, there's a lot of people that are just kind of scrolling, you know, and all that jazz. But you really do get to a point where you feel like you're giving people a disservice essentially, because you aren't investing more time into something for them to invest into you. Which is why, like, you know, just from like, you know, building this challenge over the last couple of months, I think I've told you many times how I want this thing to be, I don't want this thing to be good. I want this thing to be great. And with the final product that we have now, and from, you know, all the logistical stuff, but also from the actual workouts, I'm stoked. I'm stoked out of my mind. I just want to click like now, like the release, the launch is October 27th, but I just want to press enter and just let it go right now. Like, you have no idea. I just want it to just go, honestly, because the amount of time and energy that was spent into creating these, it's a lot. And also, my docs crew, I had a handful of them do the 10-day complex challenge with me. And I think that they are thrilled that it's over.
I'm sure.
Because honestly, too, dude, I mean, you know, we'll go into it, but thinking of just doing 10 minutes a day of workouts for 10 days doesn't seem like much of a challenge, but it most definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And really just this whole idea of me being, a few years ahead of the curve here. I just have an eye for how we can basically package something that could be valuable for your audience. Really as simple as that. So, like you said, we've been working collaboratively together on this challenge for the past few months. And it was a lot of thrashing, a lot of going back and forth at first, of brainstorming and throwing together ideas. But the funny thing is oftentimes keeping it simple, keeping it creative, being authentic to what you do best and what your audience actually wants and needs, like those are the only main things to kind of keep in mind. And then that kind of helps to kind of focus the efforts. So ultimately, and at the end of the day, what we came up with was a 10-day kettlebell complex challenge. It'll only take you 10 minutes a day to do. And yeah, for anybody out there who likes AJ's style of workout, you're going to get a few surprises. Yes, absolutely. You will get a few surprises, but you're in for a structured way of training with the style of workouts, the kettlebell complexes, really that you've seen from AJ's content. So at this point, it's practically done. It's these things are always like it's like a birthing process. Like some things take
100%.
Some things take way longer than you think they should, and a lot of things don't. But that's how we learn. So yes, by the time this episode comes out, the launch will be just a few days away. Like I said, we're launching on the 27th for the long Halloween weekend. And then it's going in the vault for at least the foreseeable future.
It'll be in the vault for a little while, I think. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's 10 minutes a day, 10 workouts over the course of 10 days. And I think it's the biggest thing too, is just creating momentum. And I think that's what better way than just to lock away 10 minutes a day. That's literally it, of single kettlebell full body complexes. And these things, these complexes, I know I gave out the freebie of day one, but nobody's seen these other complexes. I don't think you'll ever probably have done, anything close to this stuff, but it's been a lot of fun creating. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm like I said, I'm excited to get this thing rocking and rolling out there.
Yeah, man, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's been super fun. It's exciting. And we won't necessarily go through bullet point by bullet point every little thing that's included. That's kind of what the registration page is for. But what I will say, what's really cool is you basically included follow along videos with these workouts.
Yeah,
that dude, it's like being there in the loft.
Dude, that's the thing. It's the amount of, I mean, first off, I wanted to make this an experience. I didn't want this just to be a PDF version of like, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. Not only are you getting the video modules to each one of the movements, but you're getting a full follow along video of me working out with you the entire time. And I think one of the biggest things that people who come to Doc's crew, and I'm sure people who follow me as well, is that they just want to turn their brain off. They don't want to have to think. Everybody wants to turn their brain off. They don't want to have to think about what they're doing on this day or that day or this day. With this 10 by 10 complex challenge, all you have to do is open up your phone and press play, and you're ready to rock and roll. Seriously, it's as simple as that. It's as easy as that. Going back to a point of keeping things simple. 10 minutes, 10 workouts over the course of 10 days. All you need is one bell, full body workout. And once you have this challenge, you have it for life. So in reality, if you want to always come back to it, that's something that people are able to do. And on top of that, not everybody probably will do the full 10 days or, that's perfectly fine. But you can always kind of come back to these 10 by 10 workouts and use them as finishers and different ways to start your workouts as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really what it's all about, is just creating the most valuable resource that you can for people. And, if you're into kettlebell training, you're going to be into this stuff. If you're into AJ's style of workouts and training and coaching and his energy, which really comes through in spades in these videos, this thing's going to be an absolute no-brainer. So yeah, dude. And, I just got to say that I applaud your willingness to entertain the idea, because, I didn't have to, with a lot of people, it's like, a lot of people who have never put out a product before, like with their name on it, like the whole idea could just like fly over their heads, and they might just not even think that it's worth the time or the effort, or that it's something that they should do for their audience, or something that, honestly, a lot of times people have like just this fear that whatever they put out is not going to be good enough. And so, speaking to your point of wanting to make sure that this is not just good, but really, really great, is a fantastic attitude to have. And I was always just there to just kind of help you direct that into, well, on paper, brass tacks, what does that actually mean? How does that actually look for the people who might want to invest in it? So yeah, man, I just have to applaud you for putting yourself out there in this way. I know from personal experience, it can be kind of a big first step to go from, hey, check out my stuff for free on my Instagram and it's all good, to here's something that's a little bit different, something that's actually valuable in its own unique right. So like you said, I think we've hit it out of the park, and I'm really proud of mostly all the work that you've done. So
yeah, right. Yeah, no. Dude, it's been fun. That's the thing too. It's like, all right, if nobody gets this thing, I had fun. It was enjoyable. But no, this thing's at the end of the day, you really do kind of, I know it sounds cliche, but you fall in love with a bit of the process of putting these workouts together. And that's, I think, why my Instagram has grown like it has, because I have been enjoying doing what I'm doing. I don't see it really much as work. And even though this complex challenge is going to be a little bit more valuable to people, it's been a fun couple months of creating something, because at the end of the day too, what is it, unless we're creating and giving and providing a bit of a service to others. But dude, shout out to you though, man, for reaching out to me to get the ball rolling. I'm incredibly grateful. And yeah, man, I'm stoked to, like I said, I want to just press it now and just let it go.
Yeah, dude, it's been, like I said, it's been a pleasure. So just to maybe put a bow on this conversation, AJ, you're one of the few coaches and kettlebell folks on the internet that I actually make a point to actually take note and see how you do things, and really see how I can up my own game by ethically stealing from you. So that's what this is all about. Rising tide that lifts all the boats. So
100%.
Yeah. So with that, for anybody who might be interested, like I said, at the time of this episode coming out, I'll have a link where you can join AJ's email list, and you'll get that sneak peek. And that's also where you'll get first dibs on checking out and signing up for the challenge. And again, that's just going to be going on for the long Halloween weekends. We kind of just wanted to make a big effort to kind of push this baby out, see how it lands with the general public, and then move on to the next project, which you already have in the works. So that's going to be exciting as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So cool, man. Well, dude, honestly, between like baseball and talking training and kettlebell stuff and coaching people. And I would always tease you and say that you were working out in the attic, but now I'll call it the loft.
Yeah, the loft. Yeah, you can call it whatever you want. That's right. It's a boathouse right on the water. It's got no heat and no cooling, so it's hot in the summer and it's cold in the winter.
Dude, that's what it's all about. Training in the elements, building resilience. Love it.
100%. 100%, dude.
Cool, man. Well, dude, anything that you want to make mention before we wrap up here?
Nothing on top of mind, but yeah, man, just this whole thing's just been a fun experience, and just actually create my first product, which like I said, I'm thrilled about. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get as many people out and involved in this, and just like I said, just trying to create as much movement and create that momentum by a little 10-day challenge, So I'm excited for it. So
yeah, dude. Yeah, to state it again, I'm super proud and happy with how it came out. So I know everybody who's listening, watching, or follows either or both of us, you're in for something special. Maybe a little sweat, maybe a little, I'm not gonna say blood, sweat, and tears. Let's just call it sweat.
I think I definitely made a mention of that in one of the videos, but
I was gonna say that could be the name of one of the workouts, because AJ named
these workouts. They are the most absurd names in the history of names that a workout could be. But I think honestly, I had more fun coming up with the names than I did with actual workouts. Because when I wrote all the workouts up, you'd think that there was a lot of thought going into them. It was like, bang, this one's this, this one's this, this one's this, this one's this. Oh man.
Yeah. So there's always these Easter eggs. There's always these kind of ways of like peeking behind the curtain into the mind of a bona fide lunatic like the likes of us. When you get into stuff like this. So yeah, man, it's been super duper fun. It's always fun getting to chat with you. Our phone conversations over the last couple of months of putting this thing together was always really inspiring to me. The stuff that we would get into, life, training, everything in between. You're a really cool dude, and I am very happy to call you a colleague and a friend. And yeah, man, this thing is coming out. Can't wait to hear the early reviews and the late reviews, for that matter, after people are actually wrapped up with it. So
absolutely.
So if anybody's not already following you on Instagram, remind us of your handle.
Yeah, it's Docs Fitness, DOCS Fitness _NJ at Gmail. And you can find me on YouTube as well as Docs Fitness, DOCS Fitness, and TikTok for that matter. But I got to get back on that.
Well, right on, brother. Well, I think there's a big baseball game that you need to run off and see.
Yeah, dude. We got 2 minutes till there's fighting. Take off, baby.
Yeah, man.
Gonna get that game 1 in.
Dig it. Well, AJ and Zach signing off, wishing you all the best in your training. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us on social media, and we'd be happy to chat with you. With that, we bid you a good night.
You.
Peace.